So these particular sections or segments I like to record again because we have some difficulty during live class yesterday. So this, the objective of this particular section is to identify different components of BMP and recognize the functions they are designed to do, and you so that you know how to change those BMP design based on the design objectives. So first, now think of the different functions that BMP or green infrastructure have. First one is to reduce the impervious surface. By definition, if you add any BMP, it does reduce impervious surface because you are adding plants, you are adding a section where stormwater is infiltrated into grounds or being treated to one way or other. That means it's going to reduce the impervious surface. The second aspect is decrease erosion. The erosion is because stormwater moves very fast on a surface during rainfall. What BMP does, it reduces the peak. It reduces the peak, it flattens the curve so that you have less amount of water remaining on the overland flow. So when you have less water remaining on the overland flow, that means you have also less velocity of stormwater. Because of reduction in energy, you will also have less erosion. The third component is increased retention and retention of stormwater. Again, this is the same concept. Here you wanted to reduce the amount of stormwater available for runoff. Because of that, you treat some pollutants like sediments and trash. You also reduce the velocity. The fourth function is increasing in infiltrations. Again, this is for groundwater recharge or water harvesting. That's why it's very important to have infiltration BMP where you inject some of the stormwater into ground. The very last one, which is probably the most important one, is remove pollutant from stormwater. So for that reason, we have also different section of BMP that does that functions. So I want you to keep these 5 in mind and see how different part of BMP solve these functions. So the very first component is pre-treatments. Again, the pre-treatments, the reason why it is important is because it removes some large debris as well as it reduces the flow rate or the speed of stormwater. So it's like a speed breaker. You wanted to slow down the stormwater so that it does have less, it causes less damage to the BMP or other sections. So the way they are designed in this particular right side of the figures, there is no design that reduces that stormwater velocity. So for that, you might notice that in some cases, you'll have lots of rock. They put rocks in the inlet. Put those rocks. So these are rock. What it does, it when the stormwater come in from the other area, it slow down the velocity of stormwater. And then also because the water is forced to get in through this area, then you also remove some of the large debris during this transport. So those are the pre-treatment design. And in this particular section, there was no pre-treatment, so I draw it. The second one is plants. Plants looks makes the BMP looks great. So that's the aesthetic value, but it has also other functions. For instance, if you have plants, the plant roots hold the soil together, so that prevent erosion. So anytime there is a heavy or high flow rates of stormwater over the BMP, it can erode the filter media. For that reason, it's important to have plants. And the second one, plants are also very active in removing pollutants through their root zone. It provides lots of open space where it can make the soil breathe, so that there are certain type of microorganisms grow there. Those microorganisms happen to also remove lots of pollutants by biodegradations. So again, plants have 2 functions. Number 1 is prevent erosion, and also second, helps removing pollutants at the root zone. And the third one is retention area. The retention area is this particular section. If you see over here, That's the top area where most of the stormwater ponds. The reason why it is important is that determine the capacity of stormwater to treat, um, capacity of the BMP to treat stormwater volumes. If you have less depth over here, so this height is critical. If you have lower height, it has less ponding. That means you're not able to remove large quantity of stormwater because anytime that ponded area is overflowing, that means you are no longer treating that amount of stormwater. So this ponded area is designed to capture certain volume of stormwater. And then when you capture the high volume, it also increases this depth of ponded layer, and that create a force that which push the water through the filter layer. So that means an increase in filtrations if you have that ponded layer. And also it is a sediment trap mechanism. Anytime you have lots of sediments and through the plants, they slow down the velocity, and that increases the sediment settling at that location. So it has a specific function. But there is also negative aspect of it. If you have a larger ponded area, it might create like ponding for more than 48 hours. It could cause a mosquito problem. So you need to have a balance between how much was the right amount of height you should have in that location. The next one is filter media. This is most important part of the BMP because this allows stormwater to move in. So it set the infiltration capacity, how fast stormwater can infiltrate into ground. Also, it uh, set the contaminant removal capacity. So there are different materials you can add into this filter media. So you can add biochar, you can add. Mostly people use sand because it increases infiltration capacity. So I'll write that another factor here, infiltration capacity, because based on the type of materials you add here, that would increase infiltration. So typically people add here sand plus any other amendment um, that would improve contaminant removal. They are also helpful to help grow certain type of microbial community for plant growth as well as contaminant degradations, biodegradations. The next component is storage layer. Storage layer is here. Already I wrote it here. This is storage layer or transition layer. That storage layer is designed to keep some amount of water inside the system. Why the storage layer is important? First, if it keeps saturated, then it can promote denitrifications. Denitrification is caused by a certain type of microorganism which requires to have no oxygen in the system. So for have to, unfortunately, stormwater is full of oxygen. So what it does is it keeps certain amount of water ponded there for a long time. When it is there, microorganism deplete that oxygen that promotes denitrifications. But the storage layer has another property. It also increases infiltrations because if you have lots of storage layer here, that will that height of water will help push stormwater or treated stormwater infiltrate into ground. And there is also one more advantage of having a storage layer. What it does, it helps plants root survive during dry conditions because this is a backup amount of water for plants root to access. So I'll write here, it helps plant survive a drought. Okay. And the last one is drainage layer. Drainage layer is this one. This is drainage layer including this pipe. As you notice, the main function is to drain stormwater into the outside, either for captures or drain into a storm drainage. So what's the other functions? The first is this drainage layer is designed to capture some of the water for reuse. And also, as you notice here, the raised outlet, this height also determine how much saturated layer you'll have in the storage layer. So that storage layer is designed to capture or store some of the water, but it can't store unless there is an outlet which is higher than the level you want to have. So this outlet design is basically serving two functions. Number one, increasing the saturation and increasing infiltration by creating this artificial or creating this head. So that's all for the different component. I hope you learn those aspect of it, because when you design different green infrastructures, you'll be asked to change those design based on this.